Hello, welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Jet Duxbury. Oz Power's back behind that camera. This is the Nord Piano 6. I was late this morning. Right? The take on this is, I know what's new about it, but I have had no prep, and we're going to find out about the new things together. Let's dive in.
At 5:30, the Robert Brothers International Circus gallops into action.
First things first, faders. Up from the Nord 5. If you don't know about Nord, it's all about having a section. So a piano section here in a box, sample synth section in a box, and the effects section here. And on the 5, it was rotary dials to adjust levels of things. The two main sound sections, the piano and the sample synth, we've got faders, so. Cool, and that's the only reason why you should buy this new one. No. But this came in on the Stage 4 a few years ago, so you're seeing that feature. And if you start to blend things or want to rebalance in a pinch, I do believe in the fader. So we've got faders for the volume. Let's do that with the second layer. So here you see we've got layer A and we've got a piano on it. Let's turn on layer B. Let's choose a different sound. Let's go round to digital. It says underneath the knob, it says model there with like a little list view. If I hold shift, I can see a list of everything, which is a nice touch. Digital Grand 2, and listen to that. And I'm gonna show off that we've now got Unison in here. So instead of before where you had two piano layers, you could detune the other layer, but now you can just have a piano like this. Hit Unison, and I'll go one layer and we'll go up through the levels of Unison and hear how it's almost like micro pitch on an old Eventide. 2, 3. No Unison. 3. So a nice subtle bit of width, and then when we tap both together, we've got both layers on. And I can rebalance it now with my fader. I was thinking about this on the long wait on the M3. You know, the fader thing, we could say, well, it's just a fader, but with synth sounds and string sounds, we're all becoming aware of having or programming in fader automation. So that's a welcome addition instead of having to plug in another bit of kit. So fader, Unison. By the way, this is what the piano sounds like out the box. I'll give you a little bit in D. That's the first piano sound. Other big thing to mention, Oz was kind enough and went and got it. The new triple pedal. There was one before. This is the second iteration. The big difference is that instead of just on and off, hear that? Before, you just got, it's mimicking the soundboard like you would on an acoustic piano. When you hit the pedal, you hear some noise. But check out how I can be dynamic with it. That's because it sends continuous controller messages instead of just on-off now. And they've implemented that in the piano sample. So you get all the half pedal sustain bits. I can't really explain it, and I've never been able to demo it, other than it feels nice, and I implore you to feel it for yourself. We have this out in the showroom. We're a shop. You can do that, unlike other people. With the resonance, this idea that when I, say for example, I'm in the key of C, and I depress this note, check it out. When I've got another key depressed, you're hearing all the sympathetic resonance. Before, there used to be buttons to turn that on. They're baking that in now, I think, in the piano. I think a lot of the time, people maybe were trying the piano and maybe had that turned off. So I'm down for losing that on this product. I can see why they went through that. Let's address this dynamic comp, because we've done the new pedal. What is dynamic comp? Dyne comp. Check it out. Let's play something like this. So I've got some dynamism in there. If I put on 3, to me that felt the same. I put in the same, but it sounded a lot more even. Dynamic comp, as I'm playing, kind of listening to the pressure I put in and evening out the velocities. Unlike compression at the end, so if I turn on the compressor here, and then we'll go dynamic comp. The compressor makes it sound compressed. There's a thwack to it and a tonal change. If you don't want that, but you want your playing to be more even, Nord invented the magic button with dynamic comp, and it's not to be slept on. Anyone, you can secretly just neaten up your playing. It might not be the thing, because if you want loads of dynamic, don't turn it on. But if you're doing like hold the line and things like that, that would be perfect for it. Some other things, if you're not familiar with the Nord lineup, timbre. Hey, you like that internet? I was mistakenly saying timbre. All the Americans told me to say it differently, that's fine.
We got him.
We got it, we got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I'll play the same thing in D. Let's go. Soft. Mid. Bright. You're getting the idea. Without changing the sample, if I just wanted a bit more mid, hit that. Really valuable. And let's flick through some of I'll turn that off. Shift, model. I see my list. Oh, let's have a look down and let's listen to the soft grand. But say I think, oh, it's a bit soft for me, but I can't find another sample. I could put the mid thing in. Without. Mid. So really nice, quick ways to make the piano sit or feel the way you want without having to resort to equalization and things like that. That's just in the piano section. Cool, let's go to sample synth land. Let's turn this off. Again, we're not using the presets because I'm trying to go through all the features, but I love that about the Nord. Blank slate, nothing to do, it won't make a noise until I turn on this layer. So I turned it on. What have we got? We got this. Awesome string sounds in there. Let's see what that one is. If I go shift and sample with that, oh, I can see a list, and that's the Spitfire string quintet. That's something that's only happened in the last year where they partnered up with Spitfire Audio. Very well regarded in terms of VST instruments, stuff you run on your computer with really beautiful string sounds. Listen to those. Beautiful. And we can show off one of the new features in here, which is a dedicated release knob. Before in the piano series, it was always combined. I'll talk about what release is. Cuts off straight away, right? I want a little bit more release at the end. Cool, and that's really important when you're trying to layer sounds again. Let's turn on a piano over here and we'll go, let's try one of the uprights. Amber upright. Actually, I want the felt one. I'll turn this off. Love that felt. Oh, sounds so good. Let's turn this bad boy on with it and let's bring in the strings. Another benefit of the fader, you can do those type of fadery things that you couldn't do before. But being able to adjust that with no release, check it out. So being able to finesse that release, I think is very important. Turning that off, going back here, let's go to shift category, which is amazing. Let's go for a synth lead, stuff we thought wasn't possible on the piano range before, but it was possible. But here's a new feature. If I go to the sample, let's find a smooth lead. That's a bit lame, come on. Proper smooth. Got a vibrato switch. Now, if you're new to Nordland, I understand their thinking, which is the piano. Let's talk about the lineup of Nord. Why the piano? You might be new to it and go, I can see there's an electro series, a piano series, a grand series, and the stage 4. But the piano is, I'd argue, aimed at that person that primarily wants the best piano experience on a stage. The grand above it, because now they're very similar with the faders. The grand's only just been updated to use these faders, but the grand physically is a different proposition. A lot more weight, ostensibly a more accurate or high premium action with the kawaii action in it. But then if you're gigging every day and you're a piano player and you think, hey, I'm not ever going to play organ sounds, because that's the big omission. In the electro and the stage, we have the Hammond sounds. So if you're like, hey, I never play Hammond organ, which is a lot of people, especially a lot of singer-songwriters, this would be perfect. Piano range from Nord has been very successful. But back to why this has come in, like the sample synth section was originally just put in, I think, to give people a split bass on the left. We'll do some splits in a minute. But on the layer, like we did with the strings, but now with this vibrato action, we can, and coupled with things like glide modes. So if I go shift and glide and make it legato, glide 2, so I can blag it, but we are missing a pitch bend in a mod wheel. Also, the electro doesn't have the pitch bend and mod wheel. I think it would be lovely if they brought those things in. Then we could use this as, even if it wasn't fully implemented in the samples, it would be helpful for people as a controller keyboard. You're spending all this money, I'd like to see that in there, but hey, we're not getting it. They've stuck to their guns for this many years in the piano range, but I like that. That's a move in the right direction. They're allowing you to at least fiddle with your sample synth sounds. So we've got new glide modes, got that vibrato switch. Also, I learnt this when I actually met the guys from Nord. I went out there for the launch of the stage 4. I went for dinner with the guys from Nord. They were so nice, but they let slip one thing, which was, if I go to the category and let's go like wind solo, Queen of Flute. No idea what that is? Perfect. Nothing going on there. Check this out. The vibrato on the acoustic instruments is not just a standardized pitch vibrato from a synth, it's actually a different sample with vibrato in, as I was told by them. It's a bit more realistic, dependent on what sample you're playing. So let's listen to the flute. Hope that made sense. So vibrato isn't just the pitch LFO on everything, it's different per sample, which is killer and speaks to the detail of the way they think at Nord. We've also got Unison on these things. So let's go category, synth classic, and then, oh, here's a good one. Unison 3. You got to play jump. With Unison, on 3, And I could put a bit of release on. There we go. So you've got some choices now in Sample Synth land. I dig it. In the middle, we've got one extra button. Whoa, pretty crazy.
Calm down.
I never use it, but there's a thing called live mode. Live mode are 6 locations that auto save. So let's go from that to that. If I go to patch 5 and go back to 6, it saved it. If I go back, see what I mean? So you've got like 6, and then you can store that into a program. But I just work from init programs, but you've got an extra button there for that. Super exciting. Nat. I spoke about splits. Let's do splits, because I don't do it a lot, but I know a lot of people like putting a piano and a bass together. So let's see if we can do that. Let's choose a piano. Let's, again, go with the list on the model, find amber upright. Cool. And I want to do a split. I hit split. Oh, I love Nordland because we get a green light come on. If I hold this down and move this, you'll see the light change. So let's say I want it there. Moved it to there, and then you see it says crossfade. I will demonstrate that. First, we've got to put another layer on before we split it. So let's find a bass sound. Let's go to here, and we will go shift category. This is handy having the category thing. Bass, finger bass. Underneath the layer thing, it says low and up, so we can choose whether it's going to be in the lower or upper zone. So let's go shift, low, shift, upper. So the piano will be up here, and then down here. Now, watch this. Oh, we've got the point of no return here, the gorge. But in Nordland, now we've got crossfade. So if I go shift, crossfade 1, and it's crossfaded, and we've got a wider crossfade here. It means you can just play over that instead of... I love that, and a welcome addition from stage 4 land. Let's get over to the massive one that was a huge update, which is the effects section now. And this is really inspired by the stage 4, which is that each layer has its own chain of effects, bar a global reverb. So let's see if let's find a blank patch. Let's go for some electric piano sounds. Let's go for Nefertiti. Just the core road sound there, and we want to affect it. We can see that it says piano A is on. Let's show you a new effect, which is the spin effect. If I turn this on, I'll go around to spin and listen to that. Dig it, dig it, dig it. That's new. What else is new? We've also got stereo or mono versions, which I wish I had. I've got a Nord Wave 2 and a Nord Stage 3. I wish I could choose stereo and mono sometimes. If you're trying to do vintage things, let's do that. Let's find a Wurlitzer. Here's a good example. Turn that off. If I put on phaser, but if I go shift mono, to me that just sounds a bit more vintage correct. Sometimes traditional sounds, it's nice to have the choice between mono and stereo. I appreciate that in there. Back to that spin effect, because I like that. Let's go to here. And we'll go back to this Nefertiti thing, because I like the sound of that. So we've got a bit of spinneroony that isn't a Leslie. I like it. We can also EQ it maybe. Let's take a bit of bass out. Nice, and let's put a delay on it. We've got new stuff in here. We've got 2 types of ping pong. We can listen to that. Let's put a bit more feedback on it. And let's go ping pong 1. Ping pong 2. Dig it. Exaggerating it. We've got flam. What does flam do? We can filter these, low pass, so darker, high pass, and band pass. Let's turn flam off. Really nice delay. Now, we've got a really affected sound now. Doing all that stuff. Let's put another layer in and we'll go for one of these digital, a DX7 sound. And you can see, dry as a bone, we haven't got that. If I turn them both on, so you're hearing that we can have independent effects on each layer. That's killer. The one thing is that it shares a global reverb, but it says a send amount. And I like that, it's a good compromise. If we put a reverb on, put the old cathedral on there. I'll turn these off. Let's go to a blank sound and let's go clav. Because we've still got all the... We could put the clav through an amplifier here. Also new, we've got the alt tone. So say I go to a Fender Twin here. Get it distorted. Without the amp. Shift, alt tone. Let's go for the small one and see what the difference are. So you've got double the amount of amps in there essentially with that alt tone, and I dig it. And lastly, a spring reverb, which I wish I had. I've got 2 Nord keyboards, the Wave 2, like I said, the Wave 2, Stage 3, I don't have the spring. It's an essential ingredient. Let's listen to it. We can make that bright. Got that drip, make it dark. We've covered everything. And with the triple pedal, we've got a new connector around the back. Also, what's new is a foot switch. So if you're someone in a pit and you wanted to assign a foot switch for changing patches, that's new as well. It's an interesting one. I think a lot of people are going to look at the Grand or this, and this is a way you can get a lot of the features of the Grand for less money. Sonically, they're the same. I didn't touch on that. I normally pass around that when I talk about Nord, is this fact that ostensibly the Nord Piano 5 and the Piano 6 sound the same, the Grand sound the same because they all share the same sample library that you can choose to load into your instrument. And let's address this kind of iterative product progression that we're seeing from Nord. And as a guy that's been around like reviewing these for a long time now, I can see why people are pissed. If I bought the 5, I'd be like, oh, there's not much reason for me to upgrade. The faders and the effects, yeah, it's good for me. But if you're someone that's new to Nord, say you're a young person or someone's just taken up piano and you're a bit old, you've got a bit of cash and you don't think this is expensive, you forgive Nord for trying to just make things better over the years. If they didn't do it this iteratively, we would see no progression. Yeah, that's my take on it. It's nice to see all these. I thought I was going to do this video and it would be over in 5 minutes because I thought there's nothing to talk about. But there was quite a lot as someone who's sitting down here. Oh, this is all new stuff to the piano series. So if you want to try it out for yourself, we have this in the store to play. To play us out, we've got an awesome piano player in there called Michael. He did a video on the Nord Grand. He's exactly the type of customer I'm talking about. He's lucky enough to have a grand piano at home. He's got a beautiful Yamaha grand piano and plays lovely classical piano. So I'm going to get him in and we'll play through some of the presets. You'll see the name on there to get an idea of the sound of it. And yeah, other than that, that's the Nord Piano 6. Surprisingly more in it than I thought. Thanks for filming this, Oz, and we'll leave Michael to play you out. See ya!